Bombers stationed in the Pacific, submarines vanishing into the depths. The target? Moscow. Is this a warning shot or the spark of a new Cold War? Donald Trump just rewrote America's military playbook, and the shockwaves are rattling both allies and enemies. For months, he downplayed Ukraine's war, pushed for peace talks, and warned that Europe should shoulder its own burden. Now, he's unleashed a NATO weapons surge, stationed bombers in Guam, and threatened crushing tariffs on anyone still trading with Moscow. This isn't defense anymore. It's a turning point. Trump's gamble? That overwhelming pressure can finally crack Putin's hand on Ukraine. Trump's pivot relies on one thing: firepower. For the first time ever, an American SM-6 missile was launched from a Typhoon system on Allied ground in Australia. At Mach 3.5, it can hunt down hypersonic threats like Russia's Iskander or China's DF-17 before they strike. But this wasn't a drill. It was a warning. The moment it flew, red lights filled war rooms in Beijing, Moscow, and Pyongyang. Because this wasn't just about a missile, it was about reach. America showed it can project power from Allied soil deep into enemy space, and that puts three capitals, Moscow, Beijing, and Pyongyang, on edge. But missiles aren't the only move. While attention was fixed on Europe, Trump quietly deployed B-52 bombers and radar invisible B-2 Spirits to Guam. Why Guam? Because from there, these aircraft can strike anywhere in the Indo-Pacific within hours. 19 precision missiles on each bomber, enough to shut down a radar network or cripple an entire fleet. The B-2, it's not just a plane, it's a ghost. Invisible to radar until it's too late. Armed with bunker busters and nuclear options, its presence alone is a warning the world can't ignore. The deadliest move is the one you can't see. Virginia-class subs glide through the Pacific, each carrying 40 cruise missiles, nuclear-powered, silent, almost impossible to track. They can hit targets from China's coast to North Korea in minutes. They don't fight by firing, they fight by haunting. Every sonar ping, every sleepless night, every wasted patrol searching for a ghost. That's not combat, it's psychological warfare, and it's a war the US is already winning. Why now? Because Trump is rewriting the rules. US power used to mean defense, protecting allies, deterring enemies. Now it's preemptive deterrence, hit first, ask later. The response? Beijing flooded its radar grid, Moscow dusted off Cold War weapons, Pyongyang fired 3 missiles, one crossing Japan's skies, not calculated strikes, panic moves in a game they've already lost control of. NATO allies aren't just recalculating fast, they're doubling down. In a joint announcement, Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte revealed a new wave of commitments. Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, the UK, each pledging to bankroll the next surge of weapons. The plan is simple and ruthless. NATO moves the equipment directly into Ukraine. The US backfills the stockpiles. Every shipment keeps Ukraine fighting, while every backfill fattens America's arsenal. Trump didn't hide the deal, he bragged about it. We make the best military equipment in the world, and they're paying for it. This isn't framed as aid. It isn't about charity or solidarity, it's framed as business. A global arms bazaar where allies fund the fight, and America gets stronger with every shipment. For NATO, it's a recalibration. For Russia, it's escalation. And for US defense contractors, it's the kind of gold rush that comes once in a generation. But the pressure doesn't end with weapons. Trump warns, if peace talks fail, the US will unleash 100% secondary tariffs on Russia. Translation? If you do business with Moscow, you're next. That threat doesn't just land on the Kremlin, it lands on India, on Turkey, even on European nations still hedging their bets. Every trade deal suddenly becomes a liability. Every handshake with Moscow comes with a price tag. Critics call it reckless brinkmanship, warning it could fracture NATO and shatter global markets already on edge. But supporters insist it's classic Trump. Economic warfare designed to force adversaries to the table by making the cost of war unbearable. Is it genius leverage, or a gamble that could backfire on America's own allies? Zelensky is all in. For him, America's hardline shift is proof the West won't let Russia drag this war out forever. He calls it pressure, progress, but others see danger in every move. Cornering Putin isn't victory. It's a gamble, and the Kremlin has already dropped its warning. If NATO escalation continues, Russia may shift its nuclear posture. History makes that threat impossible to ignore. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the Gulf War, moments where ultimatums became countdowns, and countdowns nearly became catastrophe. And now, another clock is ticking. Each day, tighter, louder. The kind of pressure that doesn't just end wars, sometimes it detonates them. So here's the question. Is Trump's military pivot deterrence, or the first step into a new Cold War? Yes, it corners Putin, bolsters Ukraine, and forces NATO to arm up. But it also risks setting fire to every front at once. Europe, the Pacific, cyberspace. Right now, the Pacific isn't just tense, it's a loaded gun. And all it takes is one slip, one spark for the trigger to be pulled. Trump says peace comes through pressure, but pushed too far, pressure explodes. The world isn't just watching, it's bracing for the moment everything breaks. Is the world ready for what comes next? The truth they feared. Inside Room 45. Subscribe.